Greetings, Lucky Legends. Welcome to the dojo. My name is Lucky, this is Lucky Lad TV. I am your host for this video, and it is time for the draft comparison, I would say you should call it. On the top left, we have our PBL draft. On the bottom right, we have our NBA draft. Both of these are final. There will be no changes made to either team, and I'm going to sort of go over my thought process behind each of them and how they differ, and really compare both drafts. So, when you look at the drafts themselves, on paper, they look about equal, I'd say, but they're extremely different. For the PBL, I was really looking for diversity and counters. Mew is diverse, Clefable is diverse, Cobalion is diverse, Tangrowth is diverse, and for counters, you have things like Cofagrigus, which is a perfect counter for Megalopony. You have Piloswine, which is a perfect counter for pretty much any Pokemon that is dual weak to Ice and attacks on the physical side, which is primarily like the Dragon and Flying and Dragon and Ground types. You have Purugly, which counters things like Vivillon and... well, not Breloom, but it counters Vivillon and Galvantula. Counters those real well. The point of that draft was I wanted to make sure that I had checks and counters for just about everything. And I succeeded in that. I have Mandibuzz, which counters Hoopa Unbound, which is a huge threat. I have Jellicent, which counters... it counters Suicune. And, you know, I have Garbodor to set up spikes. I have a Mega Houndoom, which outspeeds Mega Metagross and pretty much one-shots it unless Mega Metagross is very heavily invested, in which case it has difficulty one-shotting me. I have Thundurus, which is a huge, huge threat in this format, with access to Prankster, Nasty Plot, Thunder Wave, Taunt. It's just deadly. But that was really, you know, my thought process for that squad. For the NBA squad, I really wanted to... that one was based off of more the UCL and GBA Season 5, because the GBA Season 5 draft had taken place. Excadrill went first overall in GBA Season 5, and I completely agree with it. I definitely wanted that on my team. It's a huge threat. Latias, I wanted some bulk, but I also wanted a Levitate user, something with Defog, something that still hits hard. I wanted Manaphy because Joey has put in some crazy work with that in the UCL. And I wanted Mega Ampharos because I actually wanted Mega Ampharos on my original PBL team, but I kind of messed that up by drafting Thundurus. Keep in mind, I completely agree with drafting Thundurus. It's fantastic. But it still kind of messed me up because I still wanted Fabio because it is a phenomenal electric counter. I actually don't name mine Fabio, but I still refer to it as Fabio. I went with Rotom Heat. I needed something with Levitate, and I needed a Fire-type Pokemon. I went with Lucario. It is a phenomenal setup sweeper. I went with Aromatisse because I needed a bulky Fairy type. I went with Cinccino because I needed something that would sort of be, you know, another version of Purugly, being able to take down Mons that are common Focus Sash users that max out around like 108, 111 speed, something like that. Spiritomb, I needed something immune to fighting, I needed something immune to psychic. I needed something with Ghost Stab. I needed something with Dark Stab. Swallow, crazy dangerous, especially in this format. Cryogonal, Levitate user. Ice Shard, Ice Beam, outspeeds all of the Dragon Flying and Dragon Ground dual type Pokemon. And then Scolipede is... Whirlipede is crazy fat, and it has access to spikes and toxic spikes, just like Garbodor. And if your opponent does not have a reliable hazard remover, that will put in the absolute finest of work. As far as comparison is concerned, they're both good drafts. There's nothing that I would want to change about either of them at this point. However, there are certain things to note about either draft. For example, the NBA draft it has a lot less synergy as I'm looking at it. The Mons work together very nicely. You have good Volt Turn. You have Fabio, the Mega Ampharos, and Rotom Heat with access to Volt Switch. Then you have Cinccino and Swellow with access to U-Turn. However, those Pokemon, Rotom Heat and Fabio have good synergy, but Swellow and Cinccino do not because they're both frail. That's the issue with that. It's not that the team just... It's a lot of good Mons kind of just plopped together as I'm looking at it. I believe that I can work around that. I think I can. However, when you look at something like the PBL draft, you see a lot of really good synergy. You see a very successful three-part core between Tangrowth, Cobalion, and Jellicent, because Jellicent's knockoff weakness is countered by Cobalion. Cobalion's Earthquake weakness is countered by Tangrowth. Tangrowth's Fire weakness is countered by Jellicent, and so on and so forth. You have things like Cofagrius, which can take just about any physical hit, and if it can't, it can pass it off to Mandibuzz, which can take special hits, or you can pass it off to Clefable, which can take special hits. You have things like Mew, Thundurus, Braviary, Cobalion, and Perugly that all have access to either U-Turn or Volt Switch. Mew actually with access to both. And you have a lot of reliable hazard removal. You have Defog on Mew. You have Defog on Mandibuzz. You have... That's it. I thought I had more than that. But you have Stealth Rocks on... You have Stealth Rocks on Piloswine. You have Spikes and Toxic Spikes on Garbodor. And then you have Stealth Rocks on Clefable. And Toxic Spikes on Cofagrius, believe it or not. So you have a lot of... Oh, Stealth Rocks also on Cobalion. A lot of reliable hazard setting on that team. However, on the NBA team, you see the only Stealth Rock user is Excadrill. And the only Spikes or Toxic Spike setter is Whirlipede, which is not necessarily a good thing. However, those are two of the best Stealth Rock and Spike setters in the game. And you see that as far as Defog is concerned, or Rapid Spin, you have Excadrill, which is the best Rapid Spinner in the game. You have Latios, which is probably the best Defogger in the game. You have Cryogonal, which can Rapid Spin. It doesn't like coming in on rocks, but other than that, it's good. And Swellow probably learns Defog, but I wouldn't give it to it because it's frail as hell. But as you look at it, there's certain advantages to either draft. The PBL draft has really nice synergy. That was sort of the point of that draft, is that as I was going in order, I was grabbing things that I needed in order to produce a very balanced team with good synergy. As you can see, there's nothing on that team that only has one purpose. Everything can do multiple things. A Cofagrigus can be a special wall. It has base 105 special defense. Mega Houndoom can set up behind subs. It can nasty plot. It can be put in the sun and just vaporize things. There's a lot it can do. Garbodor, Assault Vest. Garbodor, Rocky Helmet. Perugly, you can actually Scarf or Band because it's already pretty fast. All of these Pokemon can do more than just one thing. For the NBA, that's not as much the case. Aromatisse is primarily a cleric. Swellow is primarily a sweeper. Spiritomb is primarily a pivot, at least in my opinion. Lucario, sweeper. Rotom Heat, pivot, really. Latias. Latias can do a little bit of everything. Manaphy is really a sweeper. Excadrill is really, support, or a sweeper maybe, but really more support. Cinccino is, that's an opening Mon. So, as you can see, the Mons, they're not as versatile, but the things that they do extremely well. Excadrill's the best Stealth Rock user / Rapid Spinner in the game. Latias, probably the best Defogger in the game. Manaphy is one of the only Pokemon in the game with access to Tail Glow. Mega Ampharos is bulky as shit. Rotom Heat is only weak to Rock and Water. Mega Lucario has access to Agility, Nasty Plot, and Swords Dance. Aromatisse has Wish, Aromatherapy, Calm Mind, Substitute. It has access to all sorts of Cleric-type moves. You have Cinccino with Skill Link, which completely ignores those stupid Focus Sashes. You have Spiritomb, which is only weak to Fairy. You have Swellow with base 125 speed. It outspeeds Mega Sceptile on the first turn that it Mega Evolves, before it gets its speed boost. You have Cryogonal, which outspeeds all of those dual Ice Weakness Dragon types, except for Mega Sceptile now that I'm thinking about it. But if I Scarf it, I will outspeed it, so that's not really an issue. And then Whirlipede, which is insanely bulky and gets speed boost, which is crazy dangerous. The mons on that team have not as much versatility, but what they do extremely well. And I think that's kind of why I drafted the way I drafted. I wanted to experience the League format for myself in different ways. I wanted to experience it in the form of versatility and in the form of sort of expert. Like, you have Pokemon that are experts at what they do. Specialization versus versatility is really the best way of saying it. And it'll be very interesting to see how I pilot each of these squads, because they're both very different, but they're both very good. They both have different things going for them, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing how I do with them. And I hope you guys are as well. And if you are, make sure to subscribe down below. If you want to see the PBL draft video itself, click where it says PBL right around nowish. There's going to be an annotation type thing on the screen, and you can go watch the PBL draft analysis and the update, I suppose. The update I will link in the description to that one. The NBA draft, that one's final. You can click on that one as well to go watch that video. But with that, I would like to thank you all so very much for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe down below. It is very much greatly appreciated. But with that, I'm going to get about. Best luck to you out there. I will see you all soon. Goodbye.